Alright, we are in New Orleans for the last day of tour. And we're going to check out Brad Pitt's Make It Right Foundation in one of the houses they're building. And then we're going to go over to LaunchPad TV.
Into the road, you wanna ride, but I said no.
I'm Tom Darden. I'm the executive director of Make It Right.
Tell us about the Make It Right Foundation.
So Brad Pitt started Make It Right really in the wake of Hurricane Katrina, and he wanted to help families who lost their homes during the storm rebuild, but rebuild better than what was there before. So rebuild homes that were green and that were also safe and sustainable.
We're actually on Tennessee Street in the 9th Ward. What are we looking at?
Right now we've got 14 houses that are finished. We've got another 20 that have either broken ground or are about to break ground. We're working with another 50 families in our home ownership counseling process, and the ultimate goal is to build 150 houses in this 12-block area that we're standing in.
And at the same time, you're working with the families and their financial situations, so that you're not putting a family into a house that they're not going to be able to afford to sustain.
That's exactly right. So our goal is long-term sustainability for the neighborhood, and so working with NeighborWorks America, who's one of the premier homeownership counseling agencies in the country, helped us develop a program that really focuses on the long-term sustainability for these families. So we do financial literacy classes, financial education, all of that is required.
Is it more difficult to maintain that top-of-mind awareness about the cause?
Yeah, I think the further that we get from the storm, we're coming up on the 4th anniversary of Katrina. You know, the less it's central in the minds of Americans and the rest of the world. That being said, there are volunteer groups down here every weekend offering to help out. In fact, we get more volunteer requests than anything else on our website every day. So there's still, I think that people see the progress and recognize that we're really at a critical point and potentially a turning point in terms of the reconstruction of the city.
Many nonprofits that deal with disaster or event-oriented causes go through that brand awareness cycle. Right. What advice would you give to other nonprofits who might be looking to that in the future? One
of the things that we've focused on in terms of the long-term sustainability of our foundation, I mean, originally our goal was to build these 150 houses, and it was in response to this situation, you know, post-Katrina. But in that process, or in the construction of these houses, we've recognized that some of the things that we're doing really have the potential to change the way that buildings are built. So we're making innovations just in order to accomplish our initial goal that then we can take to other markets, to other areas that may be stricken with a different type of disaster, say a financial disaster, because the cost-saving strategies that we use here can be applied really anywhere in the country to affordable housing. And so that's really how we're looking at maintaining the momentum that we have here in New Orleans.
And are you doing anything unique or different from a marketing perspective?
Well, it certainly helps to have Brad Pitt out there talking about the project and encouraging families to come work with us. I mean, really, the trust level that he brings is unparalleled, and he is passionate about helping these families, and they can see that. I mean, he knows them by name. Comes down to visit. I mean, that certainly helps from an awareness perspective.
Excellent. Well, it's great to meet you.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Nice to meet you.
What was it like that first day when you walked through that front door?
Basically, as I sat and watched the house being built, it was finally like the realization that it's actually happened. You know, this is actually where our house was before Katrina. This is where it was washed away. But what was here was family. It was just really the beginning of what we had before, a family house. You know, family being around us. The future for them is a good future, because they have some stability now, we have stability now, and we can actually start reliving our lives again.
We're at LaunchPad, and we're going to make a cameo on LaunchPad TV.
So what is LaunchPad?
LaunchPad is a startup space. We're one of the entrepreneurial hubs in New Orleans. We've got a number of startups in here, creative freelancers, lawyers, sort of, you know, it's sort of a modern workspace, an open, free flow environment. The thing we're trying to solve is basically the big gap between working at home, working in a home office, and a traditional 3 to 5 year commercial lease, which is, you know, a big risk and kind of scary for business. So we have just simplified plans. You get in here, month-to-month memberships, and everything's included with super fast internet.
So the New Orleans entrepreneurial movement got some nice coverage in the New York Times the other day.
It did.
What's the energy like in New Orleans?
You know, it's unbelievable. It's a tremendous energy right now, and really, I would say it's been building in the last year and culminating in the last 6 months, even the last several months. Entrepreneur Magazine just did a cover story on New Orleans and the entrepreneurial scene in New Orleans. I think a lot of the energy now is coming out of several of the entrepreneur hubs that are springing up that kind of are co-locating the startups and the things that are happening. LaunchPad is one of them.
The business community is changing. When you talk about open source and sharing, don't you
Right.
think that like business is changing in a way?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the neat things that we have going on down here right now is certainly there's a tremendous sense of collaboration. I mean, people work together, you know, it's you know, people collaborate and don't compete. I mean, we think of ourselves in New Orleans as competing against the rest of the country and the rest of the world, but not against each other. I mean, you know, everybody in New Orleans is sort of working together. Different agencies are working with different agencies and people, and in a new way of doing it. I think certainly pre-Katrina, and I think a lot of this ethos is the post-Katrina world and reality that we're living in right now. Katrina really shook things up and shook up sort of the status quo, and we had an influx of new people, and there was a tremendous brain gain of inspired young people who wanted to be doing something sort of purpose-driven, and you know, it's a cool atmosphere right now.
What would you say to entrepreneurs who might be watching this and are unfamiliar with co-working? And what would you tell somebody who's considering starting a business or breaking out onto their own? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, the first thing I'd say is come to New Orleans, come to Louisiana. There's a lot of good things going on down here, and there actually are a number of digital media tax incentives. If you start a digital media company down here, a web startup, video game company, you actually get up to a 35% tax credit back on your expenditures in the state. In a lot of ways, New Orleans is in the right place at the right time, kind of where the country is coming back to. I mean, when you think of New Orleans, maybe where the country was through some of the 90s, you know, we were sort of subdivisions and big SUVs and sort of, you know, working in big corporate tiered corporations. Now I think the country's coming back to, you know, am I doing something meaningful, purposeful with my life? Do I care about what I'm doing? Am I living in an area that's inspiring and sort of with a thriving creative and arts community? And when you think about that, New Orleans is it.
Cool, awesome, great to meet you.
Cool, yeah, appreciate it, Daryl.